Hello, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Navigating the Global Sport Industry as a part of our Master in Sport Business Management. My name is Alexandra and I'm part of admission team here at the International University of Monaco. And I'm joined today by our program director, Professor Safarov. Hi, Camille.
Hi, Alexandra.
And also, we are very delighted to welcome our very special guest, Guillaume Vergnas. He has extensive experience across strategic partnerships, sponsorships, esports, talent management, and I'm sure this is the dream career that everyone wants to have one day. So thank you, Guillaume, for joining us. Hi.
Hi, Alexandra. Hi, Camille. Pleasure to join.
Yeah. And so maybe we can start the conversation about the industry, and then at the end of the session, we'll have the floor for live Q&A session. So everyone, please feel free to ask your questions. We will be happy to answer them at the end.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Alexandra. So, Guillaume, how it's very interesting how Alexandra presented you, and definitely you're doing a lot of things and done a lot of things since several years. So what we will do that I think we would quickly talk about your experience, what you have done, and you did an amazing job.
Thank you.
It's definitely interesting, and I'm eager to have this discussion. So let's start with a quick introduction. You are the founder, so you have created your company, STRYKE Solutions, recently.
Absolutely.
Before you've been working with the Alpine, so F1 team, where you led the major initiative, what is related to the Web3 licensing, esports. You've done a lot of things.
Exactly.
So what I would like to start with, it's like how you initially been attracted to work in the sports industry, and why specifically in motorsport?
I think that's a very good question, and thanks for the introduction, Alexandra and Camille. So yes, so I'm Guillaume. I'm now the founder and director at STRYKE Solutions, which is a very new and recent startup that does business, mainly business in the world of sports. We work a lot in motorsports and across sports, a little bit in football, golf, and anything that basically races. So our services is mainly linked to sport business. So it ranges from sponsorship, whether it's selling sponsorship or helping activations of sponsorship for brands. It's also linked to gaming and esport, but we'll come back to this as well. And we position ourselves a little bit like the motorsport licensing agencies. And I think we can come back again to this after. But before that, so I incorporated this company last year, or around last year, and working full time on this company only until since September. So it's very, very new, but we have the chance to be supported by incredible IP, incredible Formula One teams, and automotive companies, and sports championship, and all sorts. So it's been fantastic so far. Prior to this, I was working for, as you said, Alpine Formula One team and the Alpine brand as well, which is part of the Renault Group, so quite a bit of bigger organization. And over there, I worked from the UK directly, so that's why you hear like in English a very like tiny French accent. I'm originally from France. I grew up in Paris and then moved to the UK 10 years ago to work in Formula One, because in near Oxford, this type of area, this is the Formula One Silicon Valley a little bit. So you got like 9 out of 11 teams, directly over there. And so I worked there for around 8 to 10 years, roughly, something like that, leading their commercial efforts, whether it's sponsorship, licensing, esports, and we'll come back to this because this type of new technologies can be your entry point as a student or as somebody who wants to work in the sport as well. That can be your differentiator, and we will come back to this for sure. But what first interested me into working in such industry is I had always had two objectives. As a student, you always ask yourself, where do I want to go? Which industry I want to work in, and I wanted to be entertained. I wanted to be in a fast-paced environment, something with high stakes, something where your work could end up in the press the next day. So, but also that comes with a lot of sacrifices as well, and I discovered that afterwards, let's say. But basically, fast-paced environments, and you have that a lot in sport, and also specifically Formula One. It's driven by top-notch engineering, and also a lot of every department in a team or every department at the Formula One organization are at the top of their game, let's say. It's international, fast-paced. You get the best engineers in the world working on the most complicated cars within a framework of regulation, which is very complicated as well. So there's a lot of stakes in terms of money. There's a lot of stakes in terms of performance. There's a lot of stake in terms of innovation. And nowadays, you have a lot of fantastic brand gravitating around the sport. There's a lot of glamour and as well, but that's not the reason why I went to this. So I wanted something fast-paced with high stakes, and so yes, that's why I chose Formula One. It was either that or something in politics or high stakes surveillance or stuff like that, which I think F1 was a good path, but you have to have your fair level of luck, let's say, in this as well too.
I mean, when we see your LinkedIn profile, you did an exponential career growth. It's amazing, your path. And when you look back, what do you have kind of one specific moment, like key moment, where which accelerated your career? Like something happened, and that was the point where it started.
Well, I think it's not one point, but there's multiple, I would say multiple points throughout my career. So just for everybody to understand, I did a master in business in a business school in France, and then since the objective was to enter Formula One, and I know a lot of students in IUM wants to enter the sport. The objective was to first, how do I get into the sport? Because I didn't know anyone in the sport. I wasn't having a wealthy network of people that were interacting in the sport at all. And so the first steps was, how do I get involved? And I did a lot of volunteering through, with sending cold emails to organization, not necessarily the big teams of the big organization, because they don't have time to apply to random students for volunteering. But there's a lot of organization that need some help and that are not well known. And so I've emailed a company called 𝐤𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵. They organized the 24-hour series, and at the time I was 20 years old or something like this, and they actually needed some volunteers to go and travel to the races and work with them, help them, direct the team trucks to stop where they need to, bring pizzas to the drivers and help them registering the drivers and place the trophy in the right position for the podium or something like this. And so I just did a lot of volunteering there and met a lot of people. And even though I wasn't paid, they covered the travel and my expenses. But I still did it, not just to do it, but you have to over deliver in this aspect, because then you over help people that may move somewhere else afterwards and may call you back or may say good things about you. And you have to have a lot of luck as well. So I did a first internship during my gap year with a company called Renault Sports. And at the time, they were organizing some racing competitions in Europe with competitions Formula 2, Formula 3.5, with names like Lando Norris and Carlos Sainz that are very known today, but they were not very known at the time. And I helped them as an intern, just same thing, placing stands, putting some trophies somewhere, helping the teams here and there. And second internship, I got it through a lot of luck as well. One of my friends saw a tweet on Twitter from the ex-sponsorship director of the Paris Saint-Germain football team, who had recently joined Renault Formula One team, and he was looking for an intern. And at that point, I just messaged him on Twitter, which I was not using at the time at all, and say, hey, I can do that. I've done this. Here's my CV. And when I met that person in the hall for my interview, there were two people I knew from volunteering in the same entrance, and they come say, hey, hi Guillaume, and how you doing, and stuff like that. And so obviously that always like give a positive impact. So that's how I got there. And then once you're there, once you got the internship, once you got your entry, you have to over deliver. And so I work really, really hard in helping maximizing my relationship with every party involved in the business. And after my gap year, I went back to school, and I called them and say, would you have a position in the UK, because I need to get an internship in the UK. And at the time, they agreed to offer me that opportunity. And so I gave up everything, moved to the UK, and started as an intern, and left last year as a head of full department with 10 people in my team. So
Crazy.
it's not just entering the thing, but everything that you do needs to bring value to everyone that you meet in the industry. And that's the differentiator more than... There's a bit of luck, that tweet, of course, but then you make the difference yourself in everything that you do. And that's, I think, the most important. But to your question, Cami, sorry, I do talk a lot. To your question around differentiators, I'd say when I signed my first sponsorship agreement, and we're talking multiple millions to a Formula One team, that's a big differentiator, because once you've signed one, it's easier to replicate 2, 3, 4. And so that then suddenly you get not a different status, but more recognition from the team itself, as you've brought like a certain amount of money. So and it's always better to position yourself as somebody that is driving revenue for an organization than somebody spending revenue for an organization. Both are important and crucial, but making money is always the most important one. So I would say differentiator is this, but I think everything you do through your career, and everything you do even when you are a student, even before that, has an impact, and sooner or later it can impact your career positively or negatively.
Very interesting. So but how we can, like, you're talking about sponsorship, about partnership. How it's related to the esports and the Web3? I mean, do you have you had already some technical skills? Do you need to have these technical skills to work in this very specific niche sector?
I think that's a very good, very, very good question. So a bit of story to it. When I joined the team the second time in England, they were actually looking at esports and gaming, because Formula One was starting to organize what they call today the F1 esports series, or the F1 sim racing series. And they were starting to talk to all of the teams. And I happened to say, well, I know a little bit about gaming. I have played video games, but it doesn't mean I'm an expert in that industry. But I just raise my hand and say, I'm happy to support here. I'm happy to help the team here. And so that led to being the point of contact with Formula One as an intern, with all of the gaming aspects of it. And the next year, the team was making a partnership with one of the biggest esport team in France at the time. And I've help the team, and again help the team to develop all of this, and suddenly you just become the expert in this, but that doesn't mean you have a specific knowledge. But that comes to the point when you are a student as well, opening yourself to understanding the new technologies, getting an interest into what are the next things, and things popping up. The other point you talked about, Web3, I've never been really an expert in this. I never really studied it, but there was a trend coming up around just a little bit before 2018. And there was a trend with a lot of like companies making money with the rise of Bitcoin, for instance. And these companies that suddenly make money with rise of a new technology or rise of price of something, they have spare income to spend it. And often when they make a lot of money, they spend that in marketing. And often marketing includes sponsorship. And so you get to start to talk to a certain amount of companies in the same industry. And the more you talk to them, the more you study them. And if you want to talk to a company to spend sponsorship on, you have to understand their needs, their industry. And so that leads you to ask yourself the right question, do the right research, read some articles. And then because you have that understanding and no one else in your company have that understanding, you become suddenly a professional of it. But you can do
Expert,
that.
yeah.
Exactly. You can do that as a student and leverage it. And that's the differentiator versus the rest of the population or the rest of your class, of the rest of the students of your age. Everybody studied like event management, sponsorship, and things like this. But if you know that in a specific new technology, if you understand AI, if you have also, and we can talk about it after as well, if you have the right soft skills, because that to me, that's the most important skill to have beyond knowledge as well. So yes, that's how it came up, the new technology thing.
Very good. Thanks. So you've been within the industry for many years already. How it's changed over the past years? Do you feel that there is some new trends? Do you feel
Absolutely.
that the traditional sport change their like kind of focus and vision?
So I'll talk first about Formula One and then talk about the whole sport industry. I think Formula One, when I started, was in 2016, and the sport was not very that lifestyle, that trendy that is today. There was not Netflix, nothing like that. So it was really tough to find sponsors and brand to get into the sport. I think the sport was viewed as polluting, not very sustainable at first. It was viewed as this thing that your dad is watching on a Sunday afternoon and falling asleep watching the TV and the race. So that's how it was viewed. And then they did an excellent turn on two things: social media, absolutely amazing turn from Formula One drivers, and they very much embraced that technology very early on. And in terms of content, it attracted a lot of like new fans. They also done amazing partnerships with Netflix and Drive to Survive, which really helped to make Formula One more mainstream and attract more and more brands. And this is all the work that Liberty Media, the owner of Formula One, and they acquired Formula One around the same, I think, few years before. But they did all of this work to make it what it is today. And today, a lot of brands will look at entering Formula One. You got Louis Vuitton, you got Rolex, but Rolex was already there before. You got Disney getting involved. So it's a total different sport. And once you get the US on board, well, the rest of the world follows. So that's for Formula One. So and I think something that changed a lot is the power of licensing. With this, you started to see a lot of like collaborations between the teams and fashion brands. The most recent one is between Disney F1 and Gentle Monster. So it's a eyewear brand from Korea, and you got all of these like top-notch brand collaborating using the intellectual property of the sport. And so that's a new something that's completely changed. It's something that was not maximized at first. You got Adidas coming into the sport with, Mercedes and doing some new kits. You got Puma involved. You got Tommy Hilfiger as well. So a lot of like lifestyle brand are just coming into the sport, using the IP, monetizing the IP as well. And so licensing is a big trend, not only in Formula One, but in global sport as well. And these entities will use new technologies to leverage and find more sponsorship, because at the end of the day, everything is driven by money. They need money to pay the best players. They need money to pay the best drivers, the best engineers, or so everything is driving the how do we get more sponsorship to finance the team, because at the end of the day, you want to have the biggest spectacle on earth. Formula One needs, more and more investment to get like better TV shows, better broadcasting, and service better the fan at the end of the day. So if the technology drives money, then needs to invest in there. And the ones that do it early will be the ones that get the most benefits from it. So that's where that's the changes, how you leverage technology and IP rights as well.
Okay, that's interesting because last week we've been in London with students and we went to the F1 arcade. And today we have the session with Sam, who is a licensing manager in F1. And he was telling us about this like opening the new spaces, this licensing partnership with the Arcade, and they are trying to push forward on this kind of projects because it's attract fans, but not only. It's just the brand awareness. They increase the brand awareness through this kind of initiatives. So it's definitely, interesting. Yeah. So you played a key role in the development of the Web3 of Alpine esports. So, what was the big challenges, big challenge there to introduce when you introduced this innovation into the traditional sport?
Yeah, it's a very good question as well. So I had the chance, when you suddenly the expert, you have new projects that comes to you, and you have to first educate internally. So it's a lot of work just doing some, very simple presentation, 3 slide decks. This is what you're doing. This is how, and often you put the KPIs, the key performance indicator. So if you do this, you're gonna get that. And that's a lot of education internally first. I had the chance to be supported by a management that was trusting me and that was understanding these things once it was told to them. But again, it goes back to what I was saying earlier. It's soft skills. So you have to develop relationship with all stakeholders, whether it's your legal team, your finance team, your top management, the marketing team, and just talk to them about like, hey, there's this new technology, we should leverage it. This is the plan that I have for it. It wasn't in my job description at all, but I was like, we should do that because that would benefit the team and that would drive X amount of revenue. So you then spend some time explaining the project, and you need also to bypass some certain people that are blocking, and you will always have blockers, but in a company that don't want to do things, don't want to do work that is outside of what they're used to. But you need to take the project, block some time with management, explain to them the thing, and give them a deadline, and also develop these skills and to present something quickly, because you got 15 minutes with the top leadership. You're gonna send like a Word document of 2-3 pages, full exact summary of what you want to do. And that's how we managed to create a full new intellectual property for the Alpine Formula One team, with the creation of first Alpine eSport and then Alpine Sim Racing. It's been a full, basically virtual racing team which has its own drivers, which has its own sponsor, its own rights, its own IP, its own experiences, to also create a new sponsorship. For instance, at the time with Binance, a big crypto exchange platform, they wanted to create a fan token, which is basically a token that you're buying as a fan, but it's in crypto, and that gives you one share of a vote on marketing topics, and it's suddenly traded as one of the top fan token in the world of sport. But that all came down to presenting the project in a quickly manner, very simple words, in a convincing way as well, and with all the aim, obviously, of driving revenue and what you mentioned as well, awareness and more fans for the team. So yeah, soft skills, soft skills, soft skills, soft skills. Yeah.
Why then you decided, at which point, like what motivated you to decide to switch from the corporate world to the entrepreneurship?
I always wanted to be having my own business. So when I was a student, I was like always switching between entrepreneurship and working in like a fast-paced environment. And so partially the fun answer is I was looking to change, because obviously Formula One, there's a certain level you can go up to, and then it's experienced commercial directors that are 50 plus years old, and there's only other 10 people that have the same job as you. Even though it's nearby, you can always, it tends to be saturated in the end. But I wanted to do something different after some time, and I was too lazy to commute to London. So I live like outside of London in Oxford, and it takes an hour basically to commute to London. So I was too lazy to find a job in London to commute, and so decided to say, you know what, I'm just going to create my business. I see an opportunity there. Licensing is not tapped very well by all F1 teams, or by a lot of like brands. There's a lot of opportunities there to help. And I said, why not? And so I started this business, and it's working. So this is very positive, and I think you also in life you need to take risks, and there's no time like now to start things. So yeah, that's basically the reason why. But I get to still work on fantastic project, and my fear was to be, okay, if I leave Formula One, this high stake environment, it's very high visibility. Will I miss it? Will I be outside of the fun, or the paddock, and it's not the case. You still talk to everyone, you still know everything that's going on, so you still talk to F1 team, still talk to sponsors. So it's still the same industry, but not part of being a team.
Do you think would you say it's less pressure or more pressure?
It's different pressure. So when you're part of an organization, you got two types of pressure. You got the results pressure, which is less because your job is basically secure. Or not secure, but you get paid at the end of every month, basically. But you have to manage a lot of like internal stakeholders, like your management, the other departments, and like everywhere, there's a lot of politics, and there's a lot of like internal reporting to do. There would be, during my time in the Formula One team, we had 7 different team principals. So it's 7 different people you have to every time recreate a relationship with, prove yourself again. And it's a lot of like reporting, a lot of like internal things to do. So with this comes a lot of stress. When you have your own business, there's no internal reporting. It's just you in there, and so there's less stress. You have your client to service, but it's a bit different. The difference is the results. So you have the pressure of results, because if you don't work well, you don't make money, and then you can't invest that money. You can't do more projects. So it's about like the most difficult is about taking the decisions. I didn't think it would be difficult, but actually taking the right decisions is very, very stressful. So it's about having all the information, all the details to take the decision, and you might get it wrong at a few times, but you're learning a lot through the process. And I must say, AI is absolutely fantastic to understand tax, legal points, VAT, all of these sort of things that I really wasn't very much aware of. So yeah, sometimes
Helpful.
these tool can be helpful. Yes.
Okay. Do you think it's reflects the normal career development in the sports industry in general? Because I see a lot of people that started working in corporate sport organization, and then with some years after moving to the entrepreneurial part. So is it something for you that quite
I think there's
often?
yes, I think you get to a certain point where there's a lot of people that just stays in teams, championship, and just follow that corporate path. But if you look at the it's a some that are very, very successful, and you look at the team principles of Formula One team. You look at the wonderful brains and people that work on agency like Wasserman or Sport 5 or other big agency in the sport. They all started working in a team or in a championship or part of another agency, and said, you know what, there's a gap in the market. I should go there and I should innovate. And yeah, I think there's a trend. There's also a lot of trend in sponsorship where you've been doing some deals for a team, and then you realize, wait, the team is working with all these agencies, and these agencies are taking a cut of the deal. But me, when I do a deal for the team, I don't get a bonus. Where's that coming from? And sometimes, the commission can go up to 10-15% of the annual sponsorship. So you got a lot of companies making insane work, bringing this sponsorship to the table to Formula One, F1 teams, football organization. And as a result of this, secure 2, 3, 5 years worth of income, and we're talking insane amount of money somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's easy. It's very, very complicated and very difficult, but they get there and suddenly they are very successful and can build something that lasts over time. So you get a lot of people that work in sponsorship, climb the ladder a little bit in organization, and then move to be a sponsorship agency, because at the end of the day, they get more freedom, they get a different lifestyle, but they will also access like this large revenue as well.
Yeah. You started talking about agencies, and I wanted to ask you about the start of the career, because we had a lot of discussion during
Yeah.
like last weeks about how to enter motorsport industry. And what we heard a lot that don't think about teams. You started in team.
Yeah.
So would you say that to start within the agency might be easier than to enter in directly in the F1 team?
I think not only it's probably easier because you got less mass of applicants. You will have a lot of like people that are fan of the sport that will apply to any internship in a team or a championship, but they will forget that there's a lot of like companies that gravitate around these teams and around the industry in general. And these agencies need some help, and they need some help from very talented people, and they struggle sometimes to hire the right, interns, the right juniors, the right, employees, and sometimes doing the fun with doing the work with this agency is way more fun and way more rewarding than entering as an intern into a team that does not have the right job for you. And we see a lot of like, I've seen a lot of like student get into work with a team and sacrifice everything to join a team, and join on very, very low salary, and and being blocked into doing some business intelligence for a team and not doing what they want. They don't travel to races. They don't grow their career. While if you work with an agency or a sponsor or other parties that are involved, you get to speak to a lot of people. You get a lot of exposure. You get to build your network across not only one team and internal stakeholders within one team. You got to speak to the whole industry, and that's investing in your future. I think that's give you a lot of opportunity to prove yourself, a lot more opportunity to prove yourself, but a lot more career opportunity down the line. While if you join just one organization, you can be unexposed to the other sponsor, the other teams, the other agencies, and so it can be more difficult for you than to have an exit or other opportunities down the line. So not only I think it's easier to get into an agency, you can have a bigger impact as well because there's a lot more growth opportunities within an agency, and there's a lot more reward as well. So yeah, I would say don't forget every companies that gravitate around the sport because not only it will be more fun, it will also be stacked with a lot of opportunities for you.
Okay, very interesting. And how you seen you mentioned about leadership skills, like in general it's the leadership style of leadership in F1, it's a high pressure environment, it's very different. So what does it looks like?
Uh, if so, I think there's two questions.
Political, geopolitical.
It really depends on the management that you have at the time. As I said, I've seen 17 principals with 7 different management style. And there's a lot of management style that I've really liked. A lot of management style that were old-fashioned and probably not in the right time and era as well. So I think leadership is everything in sports, especially when you are a team. You have to motivate, 1,000 people to work over hours, and you have to convince them that they are doing it for the right reason, and not just to get a paycheck at the end of the month. And so they all love the sport. They all want to win, but I think they will work way better and way more if they have the right leadership on board. And I've seen a lot of very poor leadership in sports. But it's like everywhere. I think you have a lot of people that are being put in position that don't have these soft skills. And so coming back to soft skills, it's very important to not make friends wherever you go, but make a good impression wherever you go, and always not to burn any bridges with anyone from the industry. Quick example, when I resigned from the team, my boss at the time, he left the team since then, but was the commercial director of the Alpine Formula One team. He recently joined another championship in the sport, another organization. And when I resigned in a very good manner. I worked my notice. I was transparent with the team. And so moving to this other thing, my boss at the time is now the chief commercial officer of another organization, and I've just heard, I think 2 weeks ago, I've heard that they've recommended my agency to work with them. So again, do not burn any bridges because you're going to see the same kind of people everywhere in the sport industry. And if you build good relationship and show a good work ethic, you will they reward you in one way or another, or that work will reward you down the line. So I'd say, yeah, I would say that's the most important part. And
Good advice,
yeah.
definitely. The students very often they are little bit struggle to approach the people. So they ask us how to network We are saying that you need to network. We are saying that you need to keep communication with the people, but it's hard. So what kind of advice you can give to the younger generation, like the students that dream to enter this industry?
I think first of all, networking is not messaging people on LinkedIn. It's not it's also going to conferences and talking to people, but there's also a million of other people that do that. I would say networking is building meaningful relationship in work situations. And I think at IUM, you have like wonderful opportunities to work with, the ACM for events like, Formula One, Formula E. You have opportunities to work with the football team of Monaco. You have opportunities to make pitch for organization like Formula E or other competition. That's where your networking works. That's because if you have an impact there as a student in these events and you over deliver, you are outstanding in the way you relate to the different contacts. You are also outstanding in the way you relate to your teachers, because some teachers have like very extensive networks as well. If you put a little bit of effort, I'm not asking you to do everything you can and stuff. It's just a little bit of effort and being nice in a way, and showcase that you have good work ethic, that you can be employed, and that you will bring value everywhere you go. That's what will make the difference, and that's what is good networking. And then of course you will get some contacts on LinkedIn, on WhatsApp after these events, and you can get in touch with these people. But if you haven't made a good impact during the sessions that you have the opportunity to, and you reach out to them afterwards on LinkedIn, they won't even remember your name. So these moments are really key, and that's how you network, because these contacts will then introduce you to other contacts, and if you make a good impression there, they introduce, and they will follow your success and follow you, and so make meaningful interactions everywhere you go and everywhere possible. And you got the tools with IUM for sure. I didn't have these tools when I was a student, and honestly, that would have made a lot of impact, I would say.
Thank you, Guillaume. So I think I see hand of Alexandra, but I think we need to wrap up to leave the floor a little bit of time to to our audience to have the questions. So maybe from the my last question will be about, I mean, you mentioned a lot about soft skills, but if you could give, like, if you have to give only one piece of advice, what it will be for the future students?
One advice only. I would say everywhere you go in your career, and I've said it as well before, but always bring value to anyone that you come across to, or always always be nice with people. It's weird to say, but a lot of people are just strictly professional in this corporate industry. Always look at building this relationship without second interest from it. So for instance, today I'm doing a lot of work to help connect some people as an agency, but more as a person, and I don't get anything from that apart from just connecting two people together, and people just do remember that. So just try to be nice with people around you and build meaningful relationship. This will be more important than selling the big sponsor at the end of the day, or doing the best report that is possible to be done. The relationship is everything in your professional life, and so still deliver some good work, but down the line, the most important thing is to bring value to people you work with.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
was amazing. So, Alexandra, do you think we need to leave floor to the questions?
Yes. This is why I was raising my hand, honestly, because I see some questions coming in, and also I'd like to remind to answer your questions, because you see how Guillaume is open and very generous to supporting your ambition and to show you the shortcuts and from his experience. How not to do things and how to do things correctly. So here we go. Oh, okay, we have many questions.
Perfect.
The first question is from Narek. So thank you, Narek, for asking. There will be three questions. In the beginning, have you mentioned about sacrifices? What are they?
Yeah, that's a very question. I didn't talk about it. The first one is I moved to I changed country, but I think a lot of students of IUM are coming from international. But you move country, and so you don't see your family for a long amount of time. You are working insane hours. You don't count the hours. But when you do something that you love, it does not matter, but you feel it afterwards. So I'd say sacrifices is to be ready to move somewhere for a role in the industry that you want. And when you're a student and just finishing your studies, you have sort of that flexibility, and you have to take it. And I think, moving to the countryside of England, where you don't know anyone. I'm not saying it's a big thing, but it's after a few years, it's you have to make some sacrifices. I had to say no to some relationships and friendship because of that. So there's that, and your personal life when you work in sport takes a bit of a hit. There's a lot of people working in hospitality, traveling, to 18 races around the world. It looks glamorous, but you spend your time basically working. Yes, you travel, but you do a lot of hours. You're not in hospitality, you're not really well paid. And it's cool because we go to country, you go to these wonderful events, but then you come back, you realize you haven't got the foundation on your personal life. So that's the sacrifices I was mentioning.
Yeah, thank you, Guillaume. It's honestly the other side, the reality check while working. And also the second question is related to that. So how would you describe the transition from studying in this sphere to entering the job market?
I think the transition I would say is find a real case to what you're studying, compared to the industry you want to enter. Give you an example. When I was a student, there were like some societies within the business school I was into, and with some friends that like also motorsport at the time, we're creating a whole society around motorsport and helping students get like some discounts to pass their driving test, or organizing some small karting events and stuff like that. So we all learn something at school, and then we apply them straight away into work and daily things that we would work on and have some projects straight away. And so you have them a little bit with IUM on the different projects you work on, and you can straight apply them, and then that becomes part of your CV. And so then that's a talking point when you get to an interview into the job market. Yeah.
Yeah, lovely. And the third question, maybe it's to both of you. It would be interesting to hear your insights. Is sport industry more about passion rather than opportunities if you compare with other fields like finance, luxury management, and etc.?
I think it's a good question. What you realize is a lot of people don't want to leave the sport industry because of the passion that they have for the sport, but they will, miss some bigger opportunities to go in career if you want on industry. If you work on industry like finance, or as I say luxury management, product category, or any other industries where there's a field with organized level, with organized HR that manage your career for you and present you with wonderful opportunities that when you work for a big corporation where there's a structured path. If you work in sport, it's very fast-paced industry. There's not many layers. There's not many ways of being organized unless you work for a big, big company. But even if you work for the NFL or the NBA, it doesn't work like that. It's more the relationship and your results, and it moves quicker. So I would say if you want a structured career, really well organized for you, work in automotive or work in finance, that will be made, straightforward for you. You know the different steps. If you want to move quickly, have an impact, and make a big difference, you can work in sport. You can do that in other industry, but I'd say sports is really driven by passion as well, and it has its benefits, but it also has its flaw.
Wow, very interesting, and it was a really good questions. Thank you. And I see another one. I think that question is inspired from this tweet that your friends saw and how you got internship. So the question is, what internship opportunities you would recommend to watch out on the market?
The job opportunities at the moment.
Yeah, internship opportunities. Yeah, where maybe to watch out.
I would say there's if you really want to work for a team or a championship at the moment when they're always looking to get, event hospitality, but there's so many people and they don't need to have degree in sports to get there. It's often a lot of luck. What I would say is that there's a lot of people looking in business intelligence. All the teams and the organization are kind of staffing themselves with like people that kind of understand data. When I'm saying data is like understanding the media value of a logo on a car or on a billboard, and then reading a PDF that is sent to you by somebody else, and then use that data to make a nice presentation. Not that complicated, but if you have a little bit of experience in that space, there's a lot of job opportunities at the moment there, and especially at junior level. So business intelligence, I would say, is a big one. If you can, like everywhere, understand AI and niche things like that, this can help you. So yeah, I would say business intelligence is where I see a lot of opportunities moving forward. But then being polyvalent and having skills in everywhere, it would allow you to enter where it's needed. But if I would advise you to enter somewhere first, is business intelligence or somewhere that brings money in any way, shape, or form, because that helps you move up in your career in the future.
Oh, thank you so much. I feel like everyone who joined us right now are so lucky because it's practical things that you just take and you do. And I also another question, but maybe it's Camille to you. So the Sabrina, she asks, what kind of the applied projects usually students does as a part of master in sport business management?
Yes, of course. So Guillaume mentioned already, we applied project. It's one of the main courses, I would say, during spring semester. So the students are working as a consultant agency, and every year it's the different project. So we worked with the Formula E, trying to help them to improve their strategy in terms of fan engagement and also hospitality. This year, we are working with the Rolex Master. So once again, Monaco is very small, and they host like a huge event, and the hospitality, it's at the main let's say main point for everyone. So we try to see how the students are working, trying to understand how we can improve the experience during Rolex Master. In the meantime, we work also on the project with the basketball team, where the student organizing the activation from A to Z, meaning that they came up with the idea and then they need to realize it. So I would say that's what Guillaume was saying. This is kind of project that you definitely can put in your CV, mention in your CV, and it brings you a special practical experience that sometimes some of the student might miss in their career. So that's definitely a very interesting project, and new projects are to come in next years.
Wow, exciting, exciting.
Improving, moving forward, and never and stepping back.
Yes, yes, fast growth, as also Guillaume mentioned. So,
Can I
guys,
have
this
one
is
question? I have one question to Guillaume. Guillaume, you are coming at the university, so you are teaching. So
Yes,
you are not
absolutely.
only entrepreneur, Web3 expert, sponsorship. You're doing a lot of things. So you're also coming at the university. You are teaching at the university since 3 years, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So why? Why this passion towards education? What you want to share with the students, and are you happy with your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a very good question. So I do teach now, I think two course at the university. One is on esports, um, and not only if you want to work on esport, but to give you like this like niche knowledge that not many people want to understand, and to give it to you in a simple way, practical way, and give you the right tools. And it's also a digital transformation, which is everything from licensing to Web3 to fan engagement and how basically understanding fandom in sport, which is already very key to make revenue as an organization. So these are the two courses that I interact with at IUM. So I will go to Monaco, I think, in 2 weeks to start the first two courses at the same time and come back a few times throughout May. I think there's I'm very as you can imagine, I'm very busy building a new brand, a new company, but I think it's really important as to always learn yourself, even if you enter the market, not the job industry. If you have a job, not only just stick to that thing, but also try to learn new things. And by making this course with IUM, I also remind myself of the basics of the theory, and also based on my experience, I re-put that onto paper to explain it to people, to teach them the tools that you need to have, and also teach them the things that I never got the chance to learn and that I've learned by doing. And so so that's why there's a difference between what you learn at school and what you will be doing in real life for the job. So I'm trying to teach that part, but also it helps me relearn this. And one quick example: 1 year I was teaching esports, and I taught on how to activate as a brand in esports. 2 months later, I think Alpine asked me to help put a strategy on esports, and they wanted to sponsor one event. And I just apply everything that I was teaching to the student, and that went so quickly, and I was so efficient, and I was so well done. So part of it is just selfish. It's for me. It's helped me. Part of it is understanding the next generation of like talents that will come to the sport industry. And as I said before, building a relationship. It doesn't just go one way. As your student, you want to build a relationship with the top management. No, you're probably going to be the next talents and the next decision maker of tomorrow. And if you are good enough, I want you in my business, or I want to do business with you in the future. And so that's also something that interests me, and understand what are the ideas like that are coming from students that can be applied to real life business, but also understand who are the talents of tomorrow. And I think I've still have somebody from IUM, a former student in my business now working with me. And I think we'll be continuing to explore internship programs in the future as well, because I think that can help also grow talent, but also identify talent for me. So there's a selfish part, and there's also a lot of benefits to share your experience and help people.
We are definitely lucky to have you with us.
But I'm lucky to have you as well. So yeah, that's part of that too. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. This is also a beautiful way for giving back. Guillaume, maybe you have a question.
That's my mistake. Sorry, I raised my hand. I don't have any question.
Yeah, and I think from the students, we don't have any questions, but for the current students that in class, they might come back to you after the class for some Q&A.
That's perfect.
To keep teaching. Yes, and I will just give some reminders that if someone is planning to visit us university, we have an open day on 11 April. So basically in a week almost. You're everyone welcome to join our open day. And if for the prospective students, if you have any questions, you can also email me with your questions and book personal appointment with me. And that's it. Thank you very much, Camille and Guillaume, for spending your time with us today. And I hope you have a nice evening as well.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guillaume. See you in 2 weeks.
See you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alexandra.